So, as the title of this video says, you probably don't need to overdo it on the intensity techniques, especially if you are a beginner or intermediate lifter. First of all, anywhere between 0 to 3 reps in reserve is good for building muscle. So, when you have that in mind, you do have to ask the question, why go beyond failure? Going beyond failure should only really be for breaking plateaus. Second of all, a lot of you don't actually even hit 0 reps in reserve in your regular sets. You probably only just about hit 3 reps in reserve. It's not until you film yourself and you watch yourself back or you train with a training partner that you realize how much more in the tank you have than from the moment you stop. A lot of you just use these drop sets and partials just to get a pump after the set, or maybe you throw in a rest pause just to beat the numbers in the logbook. But the numbers in the logbook could just be beaten through a regular set if you just put your mind to it most of the time. But as I was saying, most importantly, there is a lot to get out of regular sets, which should be utilized to the maximum, and jump volume should be kept to a minimum if you want to get through this intermediate phase. You need to keep recovery low and stimulus high. You need to keep that stimulus to fatigue ratio as best as possible to an extent, as the weights you are using are now heavier than when you were a beginner, and lifting takes more of a toll on the body than it did when you were a beginner. As you become more advanced, you need to become smarter with your training. You need to become more efficient, more effective, and you need to really start to scrutinize your sets and your technique and the way you lift and the structure and the approach of training as a whole if you want to keep making progress. Otherwise, you will just plateau or slow down really significantly. I do believe you can keep making good progress through the intermediate phase, comparable to that of the beginner phase. Comparable, not completely the same. And I do think you can get through it quite quickly as long as you're a bit smarter with it. I think I did a decent job, but looking back, I could obviously have done better. Everyone who gets through that phase knows that they could do it quicker, knowing what they know now. And this is me making these videos because I have the knowledge now. I have the knowing what I know now perspective now that I've been through it. And looking back, I would not waste time on intensity techniques at all, really. I would just focus on hitting 0 reps in reserve consistently. I think there's a real value in pushing yourself consistently to 0 reps in reserve, even if it's at the expense of dropping a set or two. You need to know what it's like to truly hit 0 reps in reserve. So when your logbook says one day that you should go to 2 reps in reserve or 3 reps in reserve, that you know that will be accurate and you know you'll actually hit 2 reps in reserve. I think this is easier on sets like 6 to 8 rep maxes. You can tend to gauge how many reps you have left, but this is harder on sets like isolation lifts where maybe you're doing 12 to 15 reps and you kind of stop around 10, 12 reps when in reality you had 3 to 4 more reps left and you just stopped because there was a sensation in your arm telling you to stop and you listen to it. So when that happens and you stop the set because the sensation in your arm told you to stop, there's no need to do a drop set or partials or a rest pause to get a few more reps out or get a pump on. Instead, just switch off that part of your brain and go a little bit psycho with yourself and just keep going, keep digging deeper and deeper and get those extra few reps out and show yourself what you're capable of. There's definitely more value in that. I do think it's actually valuable to get a bit of a pump on sometimes as well, but I wouldn't do that at the expense of your normal bread and butter sets. I would just do that on a different day To be honest with you, I would potentially just have a pump day where I just train arms on like a rest day, or maybe I train twice in one day and come back later and get a pump on. But I wouldn't do that at the expense of a normal set. So, yes, do not do intensity techniques. Do not overdo intensity techniques if you're not hitting failure and you're not hitting 0 reps in reserve, because it will just hinder your progress and you'll end up feeling more battered, less recovered, and you'll stay in the intermediate phase, constantly plateaued, feeling like you're training hard without making any real progress. So that is everything. I hope it helps, and I'll see you in the next video.